Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Alison, and welcome to our presentation. Let me get going. Okay, next slide, please, Chris. Colleagues, the Postgraduate Office in the Division for Research Development has 4 primary focal areas at the institution. And I'm going to run through a little bit about each of them, whilst Alison and Cristan, who run the Skills Development Program, will share greater detail on the topic of this presentation today. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of where we fit into the DRD. The DRD has got a number of clusters, of which the Postgraduate Office in its entirety is one. And we have these different sections that constitute the office in terms of the funding section, the skills development program, and then the study support colleagues. Next slide, please, Chris. So from this office, we support all postgraduate students across the institution. When they are still prospectives, we advise on study options. For those that are that hold international qualifications or are themselves international students, we would conduct international credential evaluations for those candidates so that they may be more translated into the South African system for consideration for admission. We then also assess eligibility for admission to postgraduate studies just generally, often asked for advice on pathways, options, transitioning between different disciplines, and so on. And then we support students enrolling in joint or collaborative degree programs. And this is fairly niche and fairly narrow. We don't have a tremendous amount of opportunities for this, but it's still a very important tool for collaborating with partners abroad. Next slide, please. We support staff generally by devising the policies relating to postgraduate students and postgraduate supervision, providing information and advice on postgraduate policies and the rules and regulations, which really form the basis in the general yearbook. We are also involved in training staff users to maintain postgraduate records on the student information system. And this is an area that's going to transition quite substantially in the reasonably short term. By next year, if everything goes according to plan, there will be more capability around managing postgraduate students' progression, their memoranda of understanding, and so forth on the Sun Student system. We maintain the institutional postgraduate program offering in support of the university application process. And many of you may have had contact with us about this. It's an annual process, and the content of that feedback informs the institutional prospective student website, PG Studies. We also are responsible for negotiating new and existing joint and collaborative degrees. And I've put in the reference at the bottom of the slide here, which I urge you to please go through if you're considering taking on a student as a joint degree candidate. Look who we have relationships with. And also, you know, in terms of new relationships, these are something that are not just once-off arrangements. They do need to be very substantial and have broader reach than just one individual student. Thank you, Chris. Next slide. The postgraduate funding and support unit in our office manages postgraduate scholarship funding at the university. They handle internal and external funding instruments, of which probably the most valuable to the institution is for the NRF funding. They administer departmental bursaries. Many of you will have had something to do with that in terms of supporting your students and passing these bursaries through the Postgraduate Funding Office. Encouraging and supporting prudent financial management amongst scholarship holders, and supporting this area of a life skill development amongst our bursary holders. And then also developing and implementing institutional policies. This is cross-cutting and the rules for scholarships and so forth. And obviously all of these things hang together with, focusing on their students' financial and their psychosocial well-being. Chris? Many of you may have already had something to do with the postgraduate scholarship program that the institution introduced in 2020 as a mitigating instrument against the substantial decline in the NRF funding opportunities and awards to Stellenbosch University. And yes, this has been an innovative program. We regard it as our flagship funding instrument. And this office coordinates the funding relationship through Vice Deans for research in the faculties, and then in combination determine the funding outcomes. And we believe that this tool is being critical, and we have approval for a next round of funding of the program to promote research excellence and student access at the postgraduate level. Chris? And I believe now I'm handing it to Alison. Thank you. Thank you, Alison.
You can pass over the baton.
Yes, thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. We will allow for opportunity for questions at the end of our short presentation. So please bank your questions. You're also welcome to type any questions into the chat function of this meeting in case you worry that your idea will float away. Right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our skills development program that is part of our postgraduate office. And Cristan and I are the core members of our program with a student intern. This year we have Mika Dieres with us. And yes, so we run the program and we coordinate all the logistics. Right, Cristan will elaborate on this element, but just to indicate that our skills development entails a bouquet of free research-related workshops, events and resources to help Stellenbosch University postgraduates hone their research and professional skills. These are free in the sense that the Stellenbosch University students who attend our sessions attend without needing to pay anything. Our office sponsors their attendance, and I'll talk about that a little bit further in the next few slides. We are also tasked with giving postgraduate students advice, as well as staff members, supervisors, academic support staff, on where to find other Stellenbosch University support services and resources, so we can point you in the right direction. And specifically, our workshops that we offer focus on 4 key areas, and these also tie in with our UCTP project that I'm going to talk about a little later. So we look at academic integrity and writing skills, research skills, technical skills that are linked to research and thesis related matters, and then professional skills such as developing talks. Right, so we offer non-discipline specific resources and workshops, and these serve as enrichment to the training, guidance, and supervision that postgraduate students receive from their academic departments. As I alluded to, our program is funded and guided by our UCDP Postgraduate Pipeline Project. That's quite a mouthful. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that project now. So the University Capacity Development Program that we are a part of has many projects, and in one of those projects, our Postgraduate Pipeline Project falls under the Division for Research Development. And this is just a little explanation as to the purpose and goal of our project. But in essence, we hope to develop research-appropriate skills and knowledge of our postgraduates and professional skills for future careers as scholars and knowledge workers. Right, so this is supplemental. Thank you, Chris. Our project is guided by lessons learned from our first round of the UCDP project, which was during 2018 to 2020. So we're in our second cycle, our second round now, coming to the end of our second round this year. And we are also informed by national funder prescriptions in terms of their requirements and wraparound support of bursary recipients. So we try to speak to the needs to what the bursary recipients are required to cover. So for example, there's one that our funding office does for the bursary recipients each year on financial management, etc. And then we also, our project is informed by the Council of Higher Education's qualification standard for doctoral degrees, which expects that all doctoral graduates achieve and develop their specific graduate attributes by the time that they complete their studies. So we speak to those in the offering that we provide. And then we also draw on needs analyses that we've done in the past. For example, our doctoral students' needs analysis that we did a couple of years ago. And then going forward, we will be doing satisfaction needs analyses to hear whether our audience is indeed benefiting from this project and our offering. So the project has 3 activities. The one is developing postgraduate training and resources. That's where we identify where there's a gap, where large groups of students are indicating that in their generic training they require more on a specific area of research. And then resources, we develop them ourselves as well as buy in people to develop them for us. For example, we are in the process of developing a comprehensive science communication resource that will be available on Sunlearn to all staff and postgraduate students at Stellenbosch University during the course of the year. Activity 2 involves the actual delivering of our bouquet of workshops and training events. And then activity 3 is linked to our funding colleagues, which falls within our project, where students who reach out, postgraduate students who require additional funding or co-funding to attend conferences, for example, they would be sponsored on assessment on their assessment of their application to receive a grant for travel-related purposes. Okay, why we feel that our postgraduate pipeline project is important is that it helps the institution to better understand what master's and doctoral students need and for us to respond accordingly. It helps the institution to ensure that students are more informed and skilled in research and professional areas, and is an enabler for students to take greater responsibility for their own development. And then we've slotted in the our graphic representation of the doctoral graduate attributes that I spoke about in the previous slide. I'm sure many of you are aware that there is a new set of, or a new document laying out the doctoral graduate attributes that, we're nationally requiring doctoral students to achieve. And it's quite a tall order, and some of them that we found, for example, where there was a gap and perhaps needed extra support not being received within specific faculties, for example, would be the area of science communication, where the one graduate attribute is to communicate your research both internally and externally to academic scholars as well as to the lay audience. So the lay audience element is a science communication aspect. Right, so this is just to give you an idea of who attended our postgraduate skills development program offering last year. And what we found over the years, especially due to taking our majority of our workshops online during the pandemic, is that we were able to include and reach our medical and health sciences postgraduate students far more than in the past. Also, when one looks at this graph, one needs to bear in mind that some faculties are considerably larger than other faculties, and also some faculties have very discipline-specific research and the structure and the nature of how one portrays it or represents the research is reflected here. But yes, we do encourage you to encourage your students, if you are a supervisor or an academic staff support member, to attend our workshops as enrichment. Thank you, Chris. Right, I'm going to hand over to Chris now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, I just want to pull up the slides again. Okay, perfect. So just as a recap, we support ESU postgraduate students through our postgraduate skills development program. As Alison mentioned, we're offering workshops online as well as in person. So that's basically to reach students that never come to campus, that study remotely, which is quite a large percentage of our postgraduate students. But also those postgraduate students who are on campus and do want to interact with their colleagues and prefer attending in-person workshops, then we are offering those as well. And as Alison mentioned, there is only so many workshops we can offer because we do have a limited budget. So I think we did already cover this aspect. So particularly for new postgraduate students, I just wanted to highlight our postgraduate welcoming website. Basically, our office put this website together as almost a hub to direct our postgraduate students to important resources available for them, as well as important links and information. So if you are a supervisor or academic support staff, we do ask that you kindly share this and promote this amongst your students. And if you're a postgraduate joining us today, please go take a look at this website. Also on the website is a short orientation video. So we've kept it under 5 minutes, and it is basically a recap on support services, registration information, getting your student card, accessing your email, so all the very important things. In terms of our postgraduate skills development program, where can you find out more information about the workshops we offer and also to register? So you're going to go to our website. Under workshops, you'll be able to find more information on the workshops we offer. You'll also have an opportunity to register for the workshops. Our dates are listed there as well. Also on our website, we provide access to various resources as well. And just to highlight some important resources, there's the Memorandum of Understanding templates that our office has put together. So if a department doesn't have their own MOU, then they can access our template guide to supplement a departmental MOU. And just as another FYI, that it is correct me if I'm wrong, Dorothy or Alison, but it is compulsory to sign an MOU between an academic supervisor and a postgraduate student. And it's something we do want to recommend and really encourage students to do with their supervisors, and also supervisors to initiate. It just helps with getting expectations, discussing them, so everyone's in the clear and everyone knows what to do. So to highlight some of our workshops, there's project management. So basically how to properly plan your research milestones, what to think about, what to expect along the way. We also do MS Word for thesis formatting. So as Alison mentioned, that fits within more the technical skills. So supervisors shouldn't be helping with formatting. That is something a postgraduate student can equip themselves to do. And I know it does take quite a lot of time during the research journey, so that's why we have this workshop available. Other types of workshops is Atlas TI for qualitative data management. So basically, Atlas TI is a software that can help with the analysis of text, images, interview transcripts, and much more as well. And for more information on our offering, you can go to our website. So some example of online resources that we have. So the first one is the Research Degree Toolkit. This is a guide that gives, basically you can click through it and it tells you what to expect on the postgraduate journey. So a broad overview. It is generic based. So all the way from conducting your research to writing up your research to project management. We also have our Planet, which is an academic project manager guide as well. And on the guide, we have a generic overview of a typical academic research journey. But on the back of the Planet, the postgraduates can plot their own departmental specific deadlines and things that they need to complete. We have this in a digital format as well as printed copies. So departments can pop us an email and request the printed copies, and we'll send them via internal mail. Each month, our office also sends out our Postgraduate Times newsletter. This is automatically sent out to all registered postgraduate students. In the newsletter, we have postgraduate funding opportunities. We have the reminder of upcoming workshops for that month or the following month. We also highlight other support services at the university. And on our Sunlearn module, we have e-materials and courses. So we've put together in collaboration with the Writing Lab, academic writing tips videos, in collaboration with our ethics colleagues at the Division for Research Development. We've put together short videos on introduction to different types of ethics. And also on the module is our Avoiding Plagiarism Academic Writing Integrity course that the postgraduates can self-enroll for and go through. So more on other types of support. So obviously our program can't cover everything. And we love to promote other support services at the university. So key ones is the Language Centre's Writing Lab. They do their own free academic writing consultations. They also have e-resources and style guides, as well as their workshops that staff and students can attend at a discounted rate. The library and information services also offer their own bouquet of free training, and the faculty librarians are also fantastic resources for postgraduate students. There is also the Centre for Student Counselling and Development. So if postgraduates need mental health and wellbeing support during their postgraduate studies, they find that they're really struggling, they can go to the CSCD. The CSCD also does academic counselling, so it's a different division, but for whatever reason, if a postgraduate is really struggling with imposter syndrome or struggling to time manage, they do consultations as well as workshops on that. And to the best of my knowledge, they also can set postgraduates up in support groups, academic support groups. And then last but not least, among some of the many support services that the university have is obviously our IT support and software support. So at the university, this was in the last couple of years, they've set up a research IT support desk. So if a staff member or a postgraduate student is looking for a specific type of research application, you can basically send an email to the support desk and they will advise you on what's available. So I think some of the queries in the past have been like a specific data analysis software. Does the university have that available, or do you have any recommendations? That's so you can email the support desk. There is also IT survey support. So if you're sending out surveys within the university, obviously it has to go through the right ethical clearance channels, but the university does have an option to distribute surveys. And there is also, of course, a software hub. So all the institutional licenses that the university pays for is available on the software hub on MySun for postgraduates and staff to download. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the Atlas TI software available for download, which is your qualitative data analysis software. And then there's quantitative data analysis software, such as SPSS, amongst many, many others as well. So where to find us? We're in the Cristan building on the 3rd floor, but you're always welcome to phone us or email us if there's if the information isn't already available on our website. And then, of course, we also have social media accounts as the Postgraduate Office. So you're welcome to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We're often posting funding opportunities, support at the university, tips, and other important information. Okay, that's it from my side. I'm just going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Cristan. Right, so we were spot on with our half an hour presentation. We set aside half an hour for questions. If there are any questions, please either raise your hand or just speak, and we'll see whether we can answer your question. Yes, Martin.
I see Martin has their hand up.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity, and good afternoon and good morning from various places. And my question is, like, from this training that are being offered, like, for example, SPSS, Excel, and all that, is it, do we have to pay for them, or it is catered in the fee that we pay for our programs? Thank you.
Yes, so as alluded to earlier, students, postgraduate students who are registered at Stellenbosch University don't pay to attend. we cover their cost. Note I'm saying to attend because if we have students who sign up and who don't pitch, and the workshop offering is limited capacity and quite high cost to us, then we can require that the participant pay in lieu of their absence, but that doesn't happen too often. We don't cover SPSS at this stage. And yeah, there are other entities at the university who give that support. Chris, do you have anything there? And perhaps I see also Marie from the library is online.
So I think, Martin, you're also asking whether SPSS and Atlas TI is free to download through the university. It is, but we don't do, as Alison mentioned, we don't do SPSS training. But there's lots of online resources. So we sometimes find that postgraduates aren't available to attend one of our workshops. So the Atlas TI workshop we do run, and you can sign up for if you'd like to. There is also obviously Atlas TI you can download from the institutional software hub, which is great. In the past, it wasn't always, so we did our training on the free version. But what's really nice also about Atlas TI is they have tons of free training videos, and they also do webinars weekly as well, which are free to attend. So sometimes you can't always attend one of our workshops, and that's okay, but there's lots of, you can basically teach yourself the software as well.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
Yes, hi Alison, Cristan speaking. I would like to just find out, I'm a supervisor or a lecturer and a supervisor, and I've encouraged my students to attend the Word MS formatting your thesis course, because yeah, that always takes a lot of time. But I would also like to attend it myself, just to sharpen up on my skills and to yeah, make sure that I know about all the new things that are happening. Is that possible? I did actually send an application in, and I wrote a little note there. So I don't know if that's allowed, because I know of some other colleagues that are very against or opposed to using the formatting functions on Word because they are old school. And yeah, it makes it difficult. I mean, I mark theses that the students do everything by hand. Because the supervisors don't want them to do formatting. So I think it's good to actually also like educate the staff members. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, for sure. So for some of our workshops, we quite openly accept staff members to attend, and one of them is the MS Word, as well as MS Excel. It's only the workshops where we have limited capacity and it's more focused, and we need to put our postgraduates first, that we don't allow staff, or we put them on a waiting list. Okay. But I fully agree. We, it's part of a postgraduate graduate attribute in order to equip our students with technical skills and knowledge. And you know, if they're able to put together a good template that works from the start, then that's fantastic. It saves the supervisor headaches as well. You know, in creating proper headings in your chapters, so that, and subheadings, so that when you generate an automatic content table and the pages come up automatic, you know, and you can update. That surely is the way to go forward in this highly technological world we live in.
Yes, I do agree. So okay, but I'm going to encourage some of my colleagues to then also attend or register for the Word training session, just for you know, just sharpening up. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
And what I can also say is that the library has a very useful MS Word training as well. And ours is a longer workshop that perhaps people may not all have time to work through the material and to attend. The library has a really nice, concise one with and there's zoning on specific tips and are really hands-on. So yeah, there's options.
Okay, thank you.
Dorothy?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Ali. If I may, I just would like to add to what you have said and would like to suggest that this could be something we could promote to HR and maybe also the library to put a focus on something like this for skill because the university has access through HR to a skills development levy. And my other colleagues online from DRD, Fadwa and others would maybe be able to also just give a bit of advice. But I think that kind of staff training can be then free training, provided it's reported and so forth as a development opportunity. And yeah, they used to offer that sort of training many years ago, but I don't know why it fell by the wayside. But I completely agree with you, Lobka. It's a generic need, I think, across staff and students. Thank you. It was just a suggestion.
Thank you. Yes, for sure. Do we have any more questions? Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah just posted the library training program, and if you follow that link, you'll find that it's really very comprehensive for both student and staff. And yeah, they we could do a whole session on the library's support on research related. So we're very grateful and we love to work with the library staff in this regard. I could perhaps say also that you may notice or you may have picked up that our library has some really wonderful data visualization training opportunities and data management. Yeah, so when folk ask us whether we offer, we refer them straight to our library because they have the expertise and they have honed in on this particular research element.
I'm not seeing any more hands. I don't know if Dorothy, you'd like to close for us? Oh, so we've got one more hand.
Please go ahead, Martin.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is just to appreciate this session. At least I've gotten to learn a lot and to get to know what you offer, especially from me personally, where I come from. It has been difficult maybe getting to understand a few things, how to go about. I'm a prospect student and I've been having challenges getting the communication or getting to understand, because when you go into the site, into the website, there are a lot of things there. You get confused for orientation or for onboarding, which one is which. And at least right now I get to know what the postgraduate skills development offers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin, and spread the word, please. We, from time to time, we find someone who will attend a workshop or come and see us, and they will tell us they really wished that they had known about this information earlier on. And goodness, I think in this age of information overload, a lot of things passes people by. So perhaps by word of mouth, if you can tell your peers, your colleagues, we would love to if you could help us to spread the word. Oh, we have some more questions. We have some more questions. Please go ahead.
My question is around funding, and I don't know if you can answer this, but I'm a postgrad student and I'm doing it part-time. Do funders usually fund students who are studying full-time? Are they more prone to giving funding to students who are studying full-time as opposed to students funding or students studying part-time? I mean, what are the kind of obstacles that part-time students have in terms of getting funding for the research?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Christians, for your question. Yes, you're absolutely right. You know, the funding landscape is incredibly challenging, and unfortunately, part-time studies is very, very poorly supported. Most funders have a rule that someone may not be employed whilst holding a scholarship. They also have strict criteria in terms of completion times. And of course, if someone's doing something part-time, it takes much longer than what they are prepared to support. Are you an employee of the university?
Yes, so I am an employee, and I'm scheduled to study. Not scheduled. I'm scheduled to graduate in March. So I managed to complete my MA in 2 years. Yeah, but I was just I'm just kind of thinking about what I want to do next and looking into options that's out there for part-time postgrad students.
Okay. Please drop me a private email, and I can engage with you a little bit about some funding opportunities that I know of that are supported nationally, but they are also extremely limited and competitive, but at least they do cater for that type of individual's profile.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dorothy.
No problem. Any other questions, or are we ready to close? You're also always welcome to contact us on any of the email addresses we've shared in the presentation. Okay. Oh, Martin. Are you reading my mind, Martin?
Okay, sorry.
No, don't
it was a
apologize.
request that if this presentation was recorded, maybe if they will share to our emails. And then is it a must for us to have the soon mail for us to get this information? Because maybe some of us, we have not finished or cleared with the registration department. So we don't have the soon email. So if it's possible, we can share. You can share what you presented to our personal emails.
Yes. Chris, do you happen to know? I know that there is a recording. I don't know how it works if somebody accepted the meeting. Did they have access to it afterwards, or Alison? Sorry.
Yes. So we will be downloading the recording, and then Whitney will, from our DRD, will be uploading it to their repository of sessions, which will be accessible to all. So our DRD colleagues will send out an email with the link once it's on their site. We will also be sharing the PowerPoint slides as a handout, which will also be circulated via our DRD colleagues.
Okay, thank you very much. That will really help, because sorry for talking a lot. It's because of a lot of questions and a lot of how to go about, especially when you are doing first-time registration, especially from a long distance or from another country or very far. So I appreciate.
Yes, you're most welcome. Also, just as a side note, once you are registered, and all those who are listening and wondering how the university corresponds, it's very important that you use the email that you have recorded on when you register on the system under your personal information. And if that email does change, then you need to go and change the information, update it on my son via my personal information. Typically, administrators draw lists of postgraduates at the beginning of a year, and then they use those lists. So yeah, if you haven't made your information accurate, then you're not going to be receiving the correspondence. Also, another side note, if you do change your email during the course of the year, then it's important to let your department know, because your administrator would most likely have drawn the list at the beginning of the year and wouldn't be redrawing a list later in the year. But our DRD colleagues will be sending this information and follow-up email via the email that you signed up with, so you should receive it now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alison. Yes, I think we're ready to close, and I wish you all a wonderful day further. And I hope that we will see some of you in our workshops and training opportunities and events. And best of luck for those of you who are studying this year, and for those of you who are supervising. Good luck and supporting postgraduate students in whichever role you are. Thank you, colleagues, Cristan and Alison, for your presentation. Goodbye.